I rolled today's story from Luke over and over in my mind, and I wanted to sort of get inside the minds of the men who gave excuses as to why they would not go to the banquet. First, there was the businessman. I imagine what he was really saying to himself, something like this. You know, I would like to go to the banquet, but I just bought this land. I want to put a hotel and a casino on it. And I have all sorts of appointments with prospective architects and contractors. I'm just booked up for the next several months. Tell you what, let your people contact my people, and I'll have a cup of coffee maybe with you sometime. The farmer. Well, I would like to be able to accept the invitation to the banquet, but I just bought this big International Harvester combine, and it's harvest time almost. I have to field test this. I have to make sure it works. A lot's at stake. Tell you what, after I get my harvest in, and they're all stored in the barns and the silo, my grain, then I'll give you a call, and we'll see if we can get together. The man who just got married, what he said was, I just got married. Period. And that was it. Enough said, you know. So, these men gave pretty lame excuses when you think about it, when there was a veritable feast set out for them, inviting them graciously to come and partake of it. Now, we on the other side of the story, we who know the full story, can say, oh, those misguided men, you know? And we should feel that way. We should say that because at least we're here, and it's a sign that we do have our priorities somewhat right at least, correct? You can be anywhere, but you chose to be here to kick off Advent and to worship today. So you know what first things must be first, of course. And yet, if we're really honest with ourselves, we do know that we get caught up in this world. You know, we get caught up in the Black Friday hysteria and et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes it's easy to lose the point of the parable you heard because we are consistently offered life, life with a capital L, abundant life. The life that Jesus made possible, the life that calls us to reorder our priorities, a life that calls us to look at life through different eyes, through the global eyes, through eyes of the Father, to be able to feel the purpose and the hope and the abundance. We have all that in front of us, and yet as we get caught up in day-to-day living, almost automatically our field of vision starts narrowing, and our lives start constraining and constricting. We've had experiences that make us make assumptions and do stereotyping. We have rules and regulations and restrictions that we put on ourselves that sometimes we don't evaluate or reflect upon it, and they narrow down and they constrict us and constrain us. We know the gospel, and yet we also know grudges that we hold, and they also narrow down the wealth and the joy that we can have. And after a while, it's sort of like this. It's like we are presented with the abundance of the table, symbolized in my favorite symbol, pumpkin pie. Look at that, choir. And it's like someone says, there's plenty here. There's plenty here. Would you like some? We're offered that abundance. And what do? Almost automatically, we start thinking to ourselves, well, you know what? There's a lot of whipped cream on this, and there's calories in the whipped cream, and the filling and the crust, a lot of cholesterol, a lot of sugar. And so when the abundance of life is offered to us, what do? We scrape away some of that whipped cream. And with all the abundance of life we have offered to us, we just take a little snippet. And we say, that's pleasant. And that's all we eat of life. Because we have our rules, we have our assumptions, we have our stereotypes, we have constrained and constricted our lives, our visions, our hearts. Why do we do that? It's so natural, especially within Christianity. That which should have been liberating somehow has become constraining because we layer it with traditions and rules and so forth. It's sort of like what you're just about to see, a clip from a movie, one of my favorite movies, Babette's Feast. In this movie, a clip you're about to see, there are people from a long time ago in a Danish village, a very conservative Christian village. We would call it almost puritanical, you know, where they would never laugh at a joke even if they thought it was funny because it wasn't proper. And these folks have been invited to a fabulous feast, and yet see how they really relate to this feast that they're going to.